Hello and welcome. I'd like to continue our roundtable presentation and discussion topics we had in London last week and catch you up on the two topics of integration and AI. My name is Martin Fix. I'm a technology director at Star and a computer scientist by education, spending more than 25 years in technology and IT. So what we've seen from the Forrester report is that integration is getting a more and more critical success factor. But at the same time, it's also one of the biggest operational challenges we see. And let me just briefly explain our understanding and background of this. One thing is that if you look at a brand, they have a technology landscape, a collection of systems, tools, data flowing around, files, etc., which is more or less well connected in order to make the business work. You might call this an ecosystem, which has its own complexity, challenges, and a certain level of automation or integration, which might be very different for every brand. Now, looking at the agency side, you have exactly the same situation. A wide collection, a zoo of tools, of systems, data flowing, maybe seamlessly, maybe with a lot of manual steps in between, and somehow it's working. So each of these two has its own challenges and has only achieved so much of integration. Now, what brands expect, however, is that these two ecosystems work seamlessly together all of a sudden. And to make it even more complicated or even more complex, there is the fact that brands sometimes don't work just with one agency, they work with a couple of agencies, even in the same campaign or the same project. So that magically now they expect that all these ecosystems from all these agencies work together seamlessly with the ecosystem of the brand, which might force the agencies to exchange data, then to exchange it to the brand, etc. You name it. This is indeed like Pandora's box. Once you open this, it's pretty hard to really get it closed and really get everything settled. And this is what we also see now in the data reported. 50% of the CMOs state that they struggle to track ROI. And this is not because they don't want to, it is because the fragmented systems don't allow for a holistic view. And also 50% say they're facing really challenges managing multiple vendors. That's what I just talked about, right? The amount of ecosystems, the different way of data is handled and processed in these ecosystems makes it very challenging. On the other side, we see that only 8% have up until now achieved a seamless data integration across brand and platform. That's less than 10% who feel happy about how well the data is flowing. However, 71% admit that they try to get there. And this actually is an opportunity window. They are willing to get there. They understand they need to get there, but they're not entirely sure how to get there. This is something where agencies could place themselves as a supportive hand and strengthen the business relation. Now, why is integration important? What we see is that 53% of the respondents state that improving the experience of customers is a top strategic priority. Happy customer, happy money. It's quite simple. But given the fragmented data they see and the fragmentation of the data systems, etc., it's getting more and more difficult. So this is why integration is a success factor for improving customer experience. Interesting is also that about a third of all the respondents state they are aiming to deliver real-time actionable insights. Now, real-time means within seconds. And to have this speed from where the data originates from to what the data means and what this information behind is, it's only achievable if you run this automated and integrated. There's no chance that human in the loop achieve real-time performance for this. And surprisingly, still 33% also believe that agencies' technology platforms can be easily interchanged. We all know that in reality it might be different, but they perceive or they think this is the case, which is a kind of a risk, maybe even a small threat to agencies. If they're not seen as unique and well integrated enough, and brands believe they could be easily replaced, they might consider doing so, ending up in a maybe difficult and challenging transition. But this 33% need to be convinced that integration is a success factor and you should not think to have them easily replaced. On the aspect of AI, what we see is that AI has moved on from being an experimental nice to have thing to a mission critical capability. The brands just expect that agencies are fully proficient on how to use AI. And that's what they express in the expectation. They say 53% say that adoption of AI is a critical priority. Even 95% say it's critical or high priority. So almost every company says that AI is going to be very important. And roughly 40% expect agencies to increase their AI-driven offerings. However, it's not really fully clear what an AI-driven offering means. And another 43% expect that campaigns should be more AI optimized via automation. Again, not really well defined what does it mean. Actually, it could also mean non-AI, but maybe you just have to label or tag it as AI. On the other side, as a reality, however, we see that almost half of the CMOs complain about the lack of AI-driven automation and optimization. So they want it, but they don't feel they get it yet. Also interesting is that 44% report that on their own side, so on the brand side, they feel not well qualified enough to deal with AI, cloud, and low code. So they are technically not there. Maybe this is one of the reasons why they're looking for support also from the agencies on these topics. So I can't do it myself. I want others to do it for me. And more than a third also point out that data privacy, security, and compliance is a challenge on agencies. So they're hitting harder on these aspects as they feel it's getting more and more important to have this well covered. This might also be a result of the closer collaboration between CMOs and the technical roles, CIO and CTO, as they usually insist more on these topics. Now, what do we see? What do we make out of this? From our perspective, it seems to be three major topics. One, ROI is a filter. Just having AI is not enough. AI has to prove the value. AI has to directly deliver business value and return on invest. This is a challenging perspective, as we've learned also earlier, it's not easy to measure the ROI specifically when you apply AI. Second topic is AI is hyped, maybe overhyped at the moment. That's why you need a certain level of pragmatism into the game to balance it out. Where does AI really help? What is really the value add of AI? And how can I make use of it? How can I introduce it fast and efficient so that I have a limited risk, but a very well prediction of business outcome? And last but not least, we feel that AI is going to redefine how agencies are seen, assessed, or vetted. Meaning, an agency which is brilliant on the creative part, but seems a little bit weaker on the AI part, might be seen not as competitive anymore as other ones who are strong on AI. If this is going to stick, or if sooner or later brands will realize it's not about AI as a technology itself, it's about what you can do with it and what you actually deliver, to be seen. But for now, AI is the one thing everybody is looking at, and which is seen as the primary factor to qualify agencies.